Hello and welcome back to Space Engineers. In today's video, we're looking at another ship that's been based off a design from Star Citizen. And if you haven't seen it already, this thing behind me is called the Esperia Talon, which is this lovely thing in this glorious purple and black colouring. So this features a couple of Gatling guns to blast your enemies with, we've got a couple of autocannons to also blast your enemies with, we only have hydrogen thrusters, we are good for being on the planet and in space, and we have a well protected cockpit at the front here, where if you were to press a button that's very well hidden next to that connector, it'll then lift up and reveal to us a standard cockpit to drive this thing around, with of course the usual limitations of not being able to see out in first person view. We'll talk about that a bit later. But yes, we've got two functionalities. In its current form, we are in its landing mode, where its legs are deployed down to the ground and the wings fold back into the position they are right now. When we were to take this off, we can then undo the magnet plates, lift up the legs, and then the wings will fold out, and it will look rather spectacular as it does it. But anyway, pressing F10 and find this in Sport menu, the Esperia Talon is 1,397 small blocks, using the Heavy Industry, Wasteland, Warfare 2, and Sparks of the Future DLC packs. We see here it's got no mods, it does have subgrids, it's got one big hydrogen tank, and it's very fun. So give this thing a thumbs up, move around towards the very front, we'll have a look around the outside, do a test out, fly around, and I'll show you its transformation process. And my character can now disappear for the moment, there we are. And this is what we get at the very front for the Esperia Talon, and that is a bunch of purple blocks to make up basically the main body of this ship. We have two strips of our lovely blue neon tubes just to bring up all this purple. To the left and right there we can see our Gatling guns and our autocannons, as well as our hydrogen thrusters to help slow this thing down. If we were to move around over to this section, ignoring the main body first of all, we're then going to come across over to here. This is our landing legs, which are on two sets of hinges with a piston in the middle. And as you can see there, it falls down from the main body, it extends out from all the way down to the ground. Then our magnetic plates, we've got a bunch of them lined up, then clamp down onto the ground to make sure we can't go anywhere. Then as we were to retract that all the way back up, then fit into this lovely little gap right next to some more hydrogen thrusters. Anyway, pulling away from there, move around to the side of this thing, you see our connector below where our cockpit is sitting, and right next to that, rounded into this section, we then got a button to lift up that front part to get in and out. And I suppose I could just grab hold of my character, we can activate that right now. So moving all the way up to it, pressing that button, and then lift all the way up, and there is our cockpit to get in and out. Then once we're ready to close it up, simply hit that, and down it goes. It's as if it's not there. Anyway, back into the free camera, moving along with this section, there's some more hydrogen thrusters to keep us off the ground and move us left and right, with two heat vents right above there. If we move slightly further up, you can see our hinge, our rotor, for how wings are going to fold all the way around and angle themselves. If we come across to this part, we see how our purple and black steel blocks move across over to the side section where our landing legs are sitting. We've got ourselves our industrial spotlights, as well as a couple more hydrogen thrusters that we saw from the very front. Move around onto the side, not too much else to talk about here, just a lovely bit of design work. Now at the back there, armoured panels, just to give it that feathered wing design. Move around towards the very back of this thing, here we go, we see a bunch more hydrogen thrusters to push us around, as well as a landing leg on the opposite side. Moving all the way up and looking down, that is how our wing is set up. So we've got a bunch of armoured panels in the middle, and as for our larger wings, we then got a bunch of window blocks, which does look very well. It reminds me of the Dragonfly ship that I did not too long ago, where I also used windows, which did look very nice, especially when the sun hit it at certain times of the day. Anyway, moving across to the main body, we see that our purple on our wings is a much more brighter, much more cleaner than our main body, which looks very dusty in comparison. There's a couple more hydrogen thrusters to move us down, as well as some fantastic use of our beam blocks, as well as our steel blocks, which are made in a slightly raised up pattern to make it look a bit more ruffled on top. Moving along towards the very front there's our hinge lift up and down our little cockpit protection. Then moving all the way down underneath this thing, here we go, if we can see past all the grass, there's our connector, there's our button, there's the bottom of our autocannons, there's our hydrogen thrusters. We can just about see how it's all being connected up underneath there with our time block and a bunch more beam blocks just covering up a few more bits and bobs. Then over to this section, more hydrogen thrusters, and there is the bottom of our wings. And I think without further ado, it's time for me to grab hold of my character and actually show you how these wings move around. So coming down to here, hitting that button, wherever the mouse has gone, there it is. Now lift that all the way up, hop inside, bring up the HUD, press number 7, that's now going to fold all the way down. Now I also press number 6, undo the magnetic plates, we lift this off the ground, then pressing number 4, we see our leg fold all the way up, and then our wings fold all the way around. So we get a better view of this, I will bring the free camera back over and look at it down like so, hiding all of that, pressing number 4 again. We see it sort of tilts around, our wings move down slightly, then fold around towards the back. Coming down like this and doing it one more time. There we are. move around towards the very back of this thing. In fact, we'll look at it like so. Just a nice nifty thing that does add a lot more life to the ship. Yes, I want to have that folded all the way out because it's time to fly this thing around and go through the controls. So pulling it up from the ground, it does look absolutely spectacular when you're viewing it from a third-person view. I can see why they didn't have a camera on the front, because doing it from the front would kind of ruin the whole design of this thing because you're not going to be able to see it. Anyway, bring up the HUD, pressing number 1, this is going to be for our autocannons to blast them both together. Pressing number 2 is for our Gatling guns to blast them both together. Number 3 is an unknown block. Number 4 is what we just went through where we fold the wings back, and our landing legs deploy all the way down. There we go. Putting them all the way back. There we are one more time. 5 and 6 for our magnetic plates on the landing legs to lock and unlock them. Number 7 for your cockpit and the front to lift out all the way up and all the way down. There it goes, all the way up. We now get in and out, then folded all the way down. Number 8 for our connector below that so we can dock this up. Then number 9 is for our hydrant thrusters all around the ship to turn them on and off. Over to tab number 2 and 3, we've got nothing else, so it's time to drive this thing around. So moving forwards, we've got one hell of a lot of speed thanks to all of our thrusters at the back there. It's not the fastest thing in the world for a small fighter, but for its sheer design and what it's meant to be, it's perfectly suitable at the end of the day. Coming to a stop, we are a lot slower, so you may want to do a 180 to stop this a bit quicker. There we are, that's a lot better with that. That's entirely up to you if you want to do that, or just let it come to a stop naturally. Moving left, and moving right. Not too bad speed with that. Very good at the end of the day if you do need to do a slight bit of maneuvering to land it down in a very tight area. The moving down is going to be helped by gravity, so it's naturally going to be very fast. And then moving up, a nice lot of speed with that. Feels slightly faster than moving forwards, which is always nice, because you never know what planet you're going to be taking this on. But as for gyroscope controls, this is what we get. And there's basically no weight on this whatsoever. Although it might just be a tiny hit on there, it does feel very floaty, very responsive whenever I move the mouse. But it could just be the hinges, could be the rotors, just interfering with how the mouse moves around. Some ships do have that problem. But anyway, that's pretty much it for the Esperia Talon has to offer. It's a fantastically designed ship with an absolute glorious design, where, well, the only thing I think left to do is of course slam this into a mountainside to see how it crumbles. Well, I'm not too sure why I went to a first person view, can't see anything with this, where I'm slightly imagining that maybe number 3 was a camera that sat on top or at the front. Yes, it's time to charge this thing along, and we're going to aim for this little outcropping right here. So we're now moving up to 100% speed, and any second now we're going to slam straight into it, and hopefully we'll get a nice big explosion, or we might just bounce away. And there we go, that was a fantastic explosion, but it looks like we have survived, we're all in one piece, because our cockpit did save us. But as for the poor ship itself, it doesn't look like it's in a very good condition. It's very, very poorly, where it's lost a lot of the steel blocks all the way around this. I'm imagining that was the hydrogen tank in the middle that exploded and took pretty much everything with it, but we still have all our wings at the back there, and well, you might be able to salvage this and turn it into a small little ship if you wanted to. Yes, as for that, that's pretty much it for this video. So be linked to it in the description below if you wish to download and play around with it yourself. Highly recommend you do, and I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.